Ciao, buongiorno, buonasera, wherever you are and whatever time it is in the world. A little bit of a cranky panel coming at you today for the second edition of the Inter Worldwide podcast. I wish we could all be in higher spirits, but let me please introduce my awesome panel, starting with number one, Alessandro. How are you, my friend?
I've seen better days, but it's all right.
It is all right. Bruno, the PIC, what's going on, man?
Yeah, no, like Alessandro, I've seen much better days, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
I get you, man. I get you. I'm also joined by Mario from the United States. Thank you for joining us for the first time, Mario. We look forward to having you many more times. How are you going?
I'm pissed off.
Yeah, sounds about right. Sounds just about. Oh, it's not good. It's not fun at all. Well, basically, ragazzi, we have a huge show to talk about tonight, and I'm failing to see any positives in my checklist tonight. But you know what? We've got a good team here to bring the fire, and we'll try to keep it as realistic as possible. So rather than dissect the absolute shit show that was Torino and the disappointing performance against Lazio, rather than dissecting them one by one, because the fixtures were so close together, it really just did encompass a really poor January, both on and off the pitch. What we saw against Torino and what we saw against Lazio was nothing short of a really poor psychological approach from a group of professional players that look like they'd rather be at home than be on the pitch. I'm going to start with Alessandro. Can you give us your overall thoughts on, more specifically, the Lazio match? But, of course, please tell us your reaction to Torino as well, mate.
Yeah, so the first thing I want to point out is that we are basically playing with the same team of last year, with the exception of Politano and Asamoah, specifically in the Lazio game, because against Torino, neither Politano or Asamoah were playing. So we basically play with the same team of last year that barely make it to the fourth place. So if last year we were so far from Juventus and Napoli, I don't see how we expect to do much better. On top of that, we have all these other problems brought by the transfer window, and I don't know what happened with Spalletti and this whole like crashing down the morale. Today performance was just embarrassing from the beginning to the end. We didn't deserve to go to the extra time, to the penalties. We just deserve to lose the game, and that's it. That's what I think. Honestly, I don't see anything positive, and right now I'm really worried about next game with Bologna. They just changed the coach. I don't see how we're gonna win.
Well, honestly, they would change their coach right before they came up against Inter. We all had a feeling that was going to happen. 100%. Today, man, I got to tell you, boys, when we got that penalty in the 122nd minute, I didn't smile, I didn't flinch. I just stood there with my hands on my hips, shaking my head, thinking this is exactly how it was going to go. Pazza Inter is back, the good, bad, the ugly. It never really left. And as Alessandro said, matches like this, you really fail to see the difference in last season's Inter to this season's Inter. So a lot of fans are really upset and angry, but at the end of the day, maybe it's because we're not looking at this from a realistic point of view. We're playing with almost an identical team, which is lacking complete motivation from last season. I'm going to throw it over to Mario as well, who doesn't seem like he's in the best mood at all, but I'm going to ask you a more specific question, Mario. In wake of the last few performances, we've really been able to identify the dead wood, the players who are not only contributing little, but even the little that they do contribute, it is negative. It is doing more harm than good to our overall progression. So, Mario, I'm throwing this one out to you. Can you give us a few of the players over the last 2 or 3 matches that have basically screamed that they are no longer going to be a part of Inter's plans?
I mean, to give 2 or 3 players is a bit of I don't even think that's enough, because it's just mediocrity across the board, except for about Handanovic and Skriniar. Everybody's just been not getting anything done. I'm done with Icardi. I've been done with him since we freaking signed him 5 years ago. I think that whatever we have planned for him, it's just not going to work out because if he needs the players around him, we're not bringing the players in to make his game the best for Inter rather than just him.
Yeah.
I really don't think that he contributes anything for 90 minutes. And then to get a penalty in the 100th minute, whatever it is, 100th minute, he comes, he scores, and then you say, "Oh, here he comes, he saves the day." The best player ever. I'm like, he got that penalty. I was like, it's over.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm just going to butt in there. That's a topic that's actually dividing the Inter community all around. Mario, would you say that you think that psychologically you're also sick of his little, I'm not going to call them tantrums, but you see his reaction when he's on the pitch when something doesn't go his way. Our past Capitano, Zanetti, would be up in our players' faces, telling them, dictating what to do and where to go. But Icardi's more hands in the air, flop by the side, look up at the stars and pray for something better. Would you agree?
He's a child. He's, was he a 25-year-old child? He cannot lead this team to greatness. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
There's players that actually that have leadership qualities like Handanovic, whether he wants the captain's band or not, Skriniar, De Vrij. I'd even go as far as Brozovic or I don't even know, D'Ambrosio, my top choice because he's
Miranda.
Miranda, yeah. Because another thing, Kandreva, I'm done with him. After today, I've given him so many chances to just prove me wrong, to prove me right or whatever. I give him so much benefit of the doubt. I say, Kandreva's not that bad. He's in a system set up to fail.
Yeah.
But I can't defend this guy anymore.
Absolutely. Good comments, man. Bruno, do you want to echo off Mario and just give your opinions on basically Icardi and also give us a few of your names who you think have to be on the chopping block literally by the end of this season? No more time.
Yeah, look, I beg to differ. Icardi isn't an all-out striker. You know, he's not your Messi's, Ronaldo's, where you will see him start his play in the midfield and end with a goal. He's a poacher. And as a poacher, you need the ball to be there. You can't do anything without it. So we've known this about Icardi all along. And you know what? He's had a lot of praise the last couple of years because he's been getting the service that he requires. And I just think without that service, he's going to look bad. But in saying that, chopping block, I would have to put Asamoah up there. He's just too hot and cold. And you know what? When he's cold, he's costing us.
Yeah.
When he's hot, he's not really contributing to the win. He might stop a couple of players here or there, but he's not really contributing to the fullest. And you know what? I'm going to go against the grain here and say Nainggolan deserves a better chance. And if I was in Nainggolan's shoes, I'd be looking at in the sense of, well, my team were in a World Cup and they didn't select me. And that was a kick in the guts as it was. He come to Inter, he did have some beautiful matches. Then he got struck with injury. I just feel he needs that chance to go and push forward. Now, after this morning's performance, the whole team's integrity needs to get questioned. Yeah. Now, we've played 120 plus minutes and we're expected to turn around in 3 days' time and play a full match against a team which has been rejuvenated with a new coach. Yeah. Now, regardless of if it went to penalties or not, the win was, as soon as it went to extra time, the win was never as important as what it was then. Because fitness and all of that starts to play. And after the Torino loss, you don't want to go into that downward spiral. And we saw it in January last year. It started in December, but it then carried across to January where we just had that slump. And I just feel that this game, if it ended at 90 minutes and we had been knocked out, would not have been as terrible as going the full extra time and getting knocked out and then having to turn around in 3 days' time. Simple as that.
I agree, man. Just to echo a couple of your points, I've said this on the last podcast. I would really like to see Asamoah deployed in the double pivot next to Brozovic. He's played there before. He's got decent technical ability on the ball. He won't be made to run so, vigorously up and down the left flank. He doesn't have to contribute to as many defensive duties. Naturally, he can defend as well, which will also allow Brozovic to elevate himself up a little bit more up the pitch. In terms of this leading into the chopping block, I'm surprised none of you have said Gagliardini. That was his worst performance in an Inter jersey today. Man was subbed out at half time. It's the most embarrassing time to get subbed out from. And I just think he's been given enough opportunities against opposition, give or take. Lazio's a good team. They're not a top team, but they're a good team. But he was poor against a lot of the smaller sides that he faced this year. The only good performance Roberto Gagliardini showed this year was against Genoa. Now, that 5-0 win against Genoa is elusive. It's elusive as hell. They literally came off 70 hours before that of facing Milan, and we came there and we just absolutely romped them. And that was not a reflection on these mediocre players performing well. In terms of any other players, Danilo D'Ambrosio, Alessandro and I share the same sentiments about him. He's got to go. He's a 5.5 out of 10 on his best day. I'm sorry if you disagree, Mario, but I'm just not a fan at all. And to be honest, Vecino has done 2 good things for Inter since he's arrived there. Bruno is still in love with those 2 things, but they happened in the past, and I just don't see any way back for Mattias Vecino. Alessandro, we'll go in to you next. The match against Lazio today, let's just talk about the penalties a little bit before we move on to some other topics.
Oh, can I add one thing?
Of course.
So in Italy, we say il pesce puzza alla testa. That the literal translation is the fish stinks from the head. So what that means, it means that oh no! In this case, the head is Spalletti, is the coach, because if we are seeing such a poor performance from the team, that's something that reflects the direction from the coach, or lack of direction and personality in this case. That's what I was saying earlier. Is like it's something like click and it's not there anymore. There's like no passion, no nothing. The only thing today I was hearing, it was just screaming, pass the ball around, pass the ball around. We were like losing. And his idea was just screaming, pass the ball around. Like that was something incredible new and something that was giving to the team the direction that and the strength that we need. Pass the ball around. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, in that case,
last game, I'm sorry. Last game, he said he didn't play certain player because one was injured and the other one, I don't know what, and so he had to play 3-5-2 for that reason. That was just a really poor excuse, because then halfway through it changed to was a 4-4-2, and then they changed it again. So he had option. He just decided to go 3-5-2 because he was lacking in the first half of the Inter Torino game. And that's not the case anymore, because the player are not there. There is not passion. We are in a comfortable position. We are not too deep down. We are not able to catch up with Juventus and Napoli, and so we are just not playing anymore. That's something that we cannot do, because we missed 2 games like this, and we are out of Champions League again. And then what?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, just going on with this topic, we might as well, because it is the hottest topic of the day. Mario, you're up next. Spalletti running out of ideas. Spalletti, made to look silly with some post-match comments about Marotta and Perisic today. Me personally, I'm going to ask you, where do you think our season, Mario, completely derailed? Because if you were asking me, I'd say the 1-1 draw with PSV completely knocked the life out of us. And also the 1-1 draw at home to Kievo also buried our mentality. And you know what? We have always been a team that has struggled to come back from poor defeats or poor results that have affected our mentality. So, Mario, what's your current opinion on the state of Spalletti? Is it time to go? What's he done these last couple of months to derail our campaign?
It's a tough one with Spalletti because, if you replace him, you have to bring in someone better who's going to have a project at hand. Spalletti brought in people who he thought, could go forward with the project he had in sight when they first signed him. And, it worked out temporarily. He got us back to the Champions League where we needed to be. But as it goes along, it just turns into the same garbage as everything else from all the past managers, from Mancini, from Mazzarri, even. They're all doing the same thing, it seems, where it's just they have no idea. There's no game plan. There's no plan B. The plan B doesn't work, and the plan C is plan A. So it's really tough. You see, the team changes so often, but it looks the same every single season, I've noticed. So it's like you could put in Brozovic, you could bring in we had Banega, who I had as one of the best center midfielders we've signed in a long time, but because of the way we play, it just didn't pan out, and we lost a great center mid, in my opinion. But the turning point of the season, I would even go as far back as to say is the 1-0 loss to Tottenham before PSV, because that's where it's like, all right, we have to beat PSV. It's all we have to do, and then we have a decent chance of going to Champions League, whatever the case was. I forgot. We screwed that up, and then we had a must win, and we tanked against PSV, who should have been, a sure win. But it's the same thing as I said. You have Perisic, who wants to leave half the time, Icardi with his stupid renewals 3 times a year, and that's just it just doesn't help when this guy wants to be paid, and then he says, "Oh no, you have to pay me, but this," and then my wife wants this, and I'm not going to sign it, this and that, and it's just a whole bunch of nonsense that doesn't need to be present at this time, because if it's not in December where we're losing games, it's now February that we're going to be trying to put together results, and in the end it's too late because Juve is too far ahead. Napoli's pulling away. Milan's going to be catching up soon. So with that, it's tough.
It looks really poor on our behalf, man, because people can throw shade at Milan all they want. It's one of my personal hobbies of mine. But with the squad that Gattuso has had to deal with and the injuries that he's had, the fact that they can see us on the horizon, it's simply not good enough. This was supposed to be the year that we genuinely stuck a claim to come second and to even, scare the crap out of Juve a little bit. That was the objective. Scare them and, show Napoli that we are ready to take that second spot. And, Bruno and I have discussed this time and time again on everything Inter. The Serie A standings are really flattering us at the moment. There is no way, shape or form that the consistency of Serie A is working in our favor. It is working in our favor because we have teams that have been poor throughout the season and they've made our standing look good. But guess what? Those teams are starting to hit form now at the right time of the season. Lazio did us over this morning. You take away the 7-1 absolute drubbing of Roma, and they look like they'd found at least a little bit of domestic form.
That's their yearly 7-1.
Yeah, that's the one, man. Bruno, you're up, mate. Spalletti, Mario's covered it well. Alessandro's covered it well. So it's your turn to talk about the potential replacements, mate. A lot of people are all for Conte. We saw him spotted outside Milan headquarters this morning. He said that it was a nice street to go shopping with people. There were no shopping bags. There were no people. It was just him walking outside. What do you reckon, Bruno? Talk to us.
Look, my opinion on Spalletti is he came here with a job and he's done it. He came here with a job to bring stability to Inter, and he did. We're going through managers how I go through underwear. It was ridiculous. And he's
100% agree.
He's been there and he's brought that stability. That was his first job. His second job was to get us into Europe. He went one better and got us into Champions League. Now, I've said this all along since the day we signed Spalletti. He's a great coach. He's a good coach, but he's not a great manager. He's not a world-class manager, right? He achieved nothing with Roma. He achieved nothing with Zenit, right? He's come to Inter. We're supposed to be one of the greatest clubs in the world, and we've got a mediocre manager at that. Now, I give the guy praise where praise is due, right? And he's done great things for Inter, but he is not the person to take us to the next level. Now, if Mourinho comes to Inter, we surely need to get rid of our financial fair play issues because he's a coach who wants the team he wants. Now, if Mourinho does come to Inter, it'll be much more appetizing for a lot of other players to come and play under Mourinho. Now, everyone's saying Conte. At first, I liked it, the idea of Conte coming, but I look at it like this. When he was in charge of Juventus, he didn't coach the team. He stood on the sidelines and watched them do what they need to do. When he went to Chelsea, that was Mourinho's team he was coaching, not his own. And yes, he won them the league, but he didn't have to do anything. When he did, the wheels fell off. The one coach that I will go as far as saying is currently the best coach in the world, and the one coach that I would love to have at Inter is Simeone. Look what he did at Atletico. Look where he's taken them, and look at the team he's developed. Right? Simeone is out of contract in 2020, but I'm sure Zanetti can pull a few strings with Marotta to arrange something for him. Now, I don't give a shit if we go the whole next season with a caretaker coach, with the guarantee that Simeone will be coming to Inter, because I think he is the only person who can get Inter back to where they were. And I just think Conte is extremely overrated, and I idolize the guy, especially what he did for Italy in the last Euros. And, you know, he went to Chelsea, but you look at the finer detail, he didn't coach. He just stood there and watched his players do their thing. I just think Simeone, he was the first coach to navigate a team to a Spanish La Liga victory, defeating both Real Madrid and Barcelona, who are currently dominating Europe at the moment.
Bruno, I got a question for you. How long are you willing to wait for Simeone?
Look, like I said, if we can go next season, I don't give a shit if we don't win a thing. With the guarantee, Simeone will be coming in 2020.
But nothing's guaranteed, though. So I personally, I'm tired of waiting. I don't even consider him an option anymore because it's just been so long. It's been like 6 years since we've been supposed to get him.
Yeah, look, I didn't say that we will get him. I'm saying if we had that.
Oh, no, I agree. I agree.
Right, and then you got Zidane, who's only linked to Juventus. So I don't want him there. So with Spalletti gone, okay, that's one issue. We get rid of him. We're solving an issue, but we're creating another. Who are we going to bring that will be able to do the job?
That's very true, man. Anything else you want to say, Bruno, or can I butt in?
No, you go for it, Anthony.
I would say that your opinions on Conte, while they're solid, I'd have to disagree with a few of them. I find that Conte's career, he's actually managed quite well in some of his lower sides, and he's able to build up a decent reputation. And when he came in to coach Juve, you got to remember, he wasn't taking over a Juve that was third, second, fourth. They ran seventh or eighth for a couple of seasons when they got back up to Serie A. A lot of the players that became forefrontal players for Juventus became forefront players because Conte switched them up a little bit and moved them into that next tier of player. Now, in terms of his Chelsea career, I'm going to have to disagree because Mourinho left a team in a mess. Now, Chelsea have got their own problems with their dressing room. They've got a bunch of egotistical players who, when the going gets tough, the tough run away and hide, we've seen that in their players. But Conte was able to get that mentality, switch it up, and turn them into a team of champions. And that league is really, really hard to win. And when Conte was sacked undeservedly, in my opinion, you saw Chelsea turn back into a rotten side. Now, after that, the Euro is where I really fell in love with Conte. And, you said that he just watched the players play. I saw him turn a really bang average Euro side into a side that almost went toe-to-toe with Germany and went through. And you know what? We probably still should have gone through. But I don't think Conte would be a bad choice for Inter. I think he knows the peninsula quite well. He has a winner's mentality. You see the way he behaves on the touchline. He runs, he jumps, he screams. He's got a lot more flair and passion with Spalletti, whereas you see Spalletti's hands go balls deep into his jacket. He looks at the floor, the lines on his forehead start to multiply, and he's just wondering how he can get out of this bad situation. In terms of Simeone, he's ideal for me. But I just want to point out something. He really banks on world-class attackers to score his goals because the foundation of his tactics is set up defensively. We've seen them struggle a little bit in the last 6 weeks. I'm looking at some stats now where Griezmann and Costa haven't been firing and they've struggled a little bit. So if we were to incorporate Simeone, I'd say there's a massive tactical shift that's going to happen at Inter because we can't play Simeone's version of football with just Mauro Icardi as a target man, in my opinion. Alessandro, do you have anything to add to Bruno Maria's and my comments there about Spalletti and the change or anything like that?
Not really. I completely agree with you on Conte. The only thing I want to add is that I wouldn't love this idea just because of the history he had with Juventus. Adding that to Marotta would be a little bit hard to digest in this moment, but if you look at the coach itself, he had balls to the team, something that we lacked for I don't know how long. I don't remember the last coach that we had with balls, if you know what I mean. Because Spalletti talks like a priest, but at the end of the day, when you actually need some strength and on the side of the pitch, it's not there. It's just looking down and praying like today. And that's not something that Simeone or Conte will do. They just go in the face of the players if they're not playing good enough. And that's something that we need. If in the perfect world, if I have to choose, I don't know, I would go with Klopp, but that's not gonna happen. So of course I need to look what is available right now. Zidane is that kind of coach that just find like the perfect team and is able to manage the personality in the team, but it doesn't need to add that particular like technical aspect, and that's something that we don't need at all because we don't need to add another mega ego to our team. We need somebody like Simeone or Conte. Simeone, I don't think is coming. Conte is available, and I guess I need to forget a little bit about his past and look for the best of the team.
Yeah, I would have to agree for the most part. I just think there's also too many players in our side who think that their personal feelings and emotions are above the stature of this club. And that's something that's really setting us back at the moment. And we need a manager who has the balls and the cojones to kick these players up the arse. And I guess that's where even a coach like Mourinho would still be okay. But to be honest, I don't think psychologically he's all there for football at the moment. Moving on, because we don't want to stretch this episode of the podcast too long. Couple other topics. Ivan Perisic, we thought he was out the door. The Mercato is over for me here in Sydney. Actually, Alessandro, can you tell us if the Italian Mercato is still open for another 12 to 24 hours?
No, it's over. It was over after 2 hours from the end of the Coppa Italia game.
Okay, thanks for that. So the Mercato is closed. Bruno, we'll do a review video of the Mercato for our fans on YouTube when we get the chance. The Perisic situation was a mess, to be honest, and I actually don't think there was any substance to it whatsoever. But I just want to ask you guys about the post-match comments via Spalletti in terms of mentioning Marotta's name and say Perisic had an offer, but it probably wasn't good that we spoke about it to the media. Blah, 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 etc., etc. Mario, have you had a chance to read some of the post-match comments from Spalletti regarding Marotta and Perisic, and what's your opinion on all that, mate?
I haven't yet seen the full extent of it, but I mean, that's just a joke in itself because it shouldn't even be making headlines that we had an offer and it wasn't good enough. I don't know. I just feel like that's something that should have been kept like under wraps.
Yeah, absolutely. Bruno, any thoughts about the whole Perisic saga and more importantly, the current relationship between Spalletti and Marotta? You got a few fans who divided on the opinion. I know we spoke about it in our group today. Some people are saying that, Marotta has full faith in Spalletti, as he said after the match. A lot of people are saying this is just his typical deceiving mentality and he's got Conte on line one ready to go. Bruno, quick comment on Marotta and Spalletti. And to be honest, mate, where do you think it's going to go?
Look, I'll cover Perisic first. We had the option to sell him the start of the season. And you know what? I think we can all agree it would have been a bad decision. Now, I've said this multiple times. You lose a World Cup final the way that they lost it, it knocks you around. It either makes you want to improve, i.e. Brozovic, or it kicks you in the guts, Perisic. Now, if we want to make money or if we want to sell him for a half-decent price, he needs to be on that field. Because we saw what happened with Diego Costa and the move from Chelsea to Atletico. We saw, you keep him on the field, he does play, he's going to maintain at least the value, right? Now, when it comes to Marotta is saying it, to keep Spalletti happy. Now, this is just me being straight up. If I'm a boss and I want to keep my staff happy, I'm going to tell them they're doing a good job. But in the back room, I'm going to be working on a solution to get rid of my problem. Now, you put it on show, especially to the locker room, that, one of our board members are upset with Spalletti. It's going to send shockwaves and you're going to lose the locker room, well, whatever he's got left. I just think Marotta is playing the right game because the last thing Inter need is to lose their manager, have, the only person I can see stepping in before the end of the season would be Zanetti as a caretaker manager and risking going from being in a Champions League position to not even being in a Europa League position. I just think Marotta is keeping he's keeping everyone in line, but he's working his magic in the background. And look, he's only been with us, 2 months?
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going towards our last topic of today. We won't stick around too long. I'm anxious. I'm nervous. Bologna, this has got 1-1 written all over it, man. Alessandro, you first. How do you feel going into Bologna, and can you please give us your prediction?
Yeah, today, right now, I feel pretty bad. We have Mihailovic coming up after Mazzarri. That's not good. That was the worst thing that could happen. And on top of that, you add the 120 minutes we just played with Lazio, losing the game. That's really not good.
The odds are against us.
Yeah, I would say so. And I didn't hear anything about this Spalletti Marotta after match. But if I had to be honest, this is something that it's not good. It's like Icardi wants a new contract, so Perez is upset. He asks for a move. At this point, Spalletti is like, hold on, I want to keep Perisic. And Marotta is like, let me do my job, don't say it in public. And then Marotta is trying to, keep everything up. and at the same time, Spalletti feels betrayed, and so he knows that there is this possibility of a counter. So to put this ends up is like, oh, I'm gonna say this, so people knows that if they fire me, it's because of Marotta and this whole situation. It's just stupid. It's not professional. Honestly,
Yeah.
this is another thing, another reason why it should go at this point. There is no trust on any side, and we're going to play Bologna against Mihalovic. Good luck. I can see just a 1-0 or even worse.
Oh, well, is that to Bologna or to us?
Guess.
Goes either way at that point.
Mario, your turn, my friend. Bologna this weekend. I gotta say, I'm not feeling that good either. To be honest, I don't even know who's gonna take the pitch. I don't know who's mentally ready. I don't even know who's physically ready. Mario, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. We have some benefits going into this because Bologna have been garbage.
The worst.
They haven't won in 9 games. I just saw it. Just been loss, draw, loss.
That makes me even more nervous, man. That makes me even more nervous, to be honest.
It makes me nervous, but at the same time, it's like I don't even think they care at this point. You know? It's like maybe Mihailovic will come in and bring some new spirits, but at the same time, it's like whatever, you know. And it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing, you know. And you know, as we just saw, we had I don't know what 6 players go a full 120 minutes, something like that are usually starting. So that's not helpful going into the weekend. But I thought some things look good, but a lot of it's just inefficiency at this point. Because what I saw today from the team was that we were getting a lot more people involved in the box. So I can't remember the last time I've seen more than 4 people in the box for a cross. And I don't even know how long. Usually it's Candreva closing his eyes, crossing to Icardi, sitting down in the middle of the field between 4 defenders. So I mean, some things look good, but for the most part, I could see a stupid 1-1, 0-0 draw. That maybe we steal a point, at the point where we play like garbage and then we score off an own goal or we get some stupid penalty again, and then that's how we're going to win the game.
I'm that convinced it's going to be 1-1. I'm almost tempted to go to the Australian tabloids because the Australian tabloids know absolutely nothing about Italian soccer. And like they will grossly overvalue the Bologna or draw option. It's very tempting, but let's not go into that. Bruno, your last, mate. Prediction for Bologna and how you think we're going to approach the match.
Look, like Mario touched on, Bologna has gone 14 Serie A matches without a win. Now, we've played a team that has not won a match all season, Kiev, and we didn't manage to get the 3 points. Now, you got to think, this match is extremely important for Inter, not from anything, but you look at the other fixtures. You got Milan playing Roma. Now, both of them are in our arse at the moment. So either of them win, Inter needs to win to maintain the gap. If they draw, Inter needs to win to extend their gap, and it's just critical. Now, I just feel, I feel you look at the whole Bologna team, they don't seem to have anything. But you know what? You look at where they are on the table, they're fighting to escape relegation, and sometimes that's worse than trying to play someone who's fighting to win the title.
Yeah.
And I just feel that they're going to go heart and soul into this and attempt whatever they can to get the win. And, you know, look at the last time Inter vs Bologna. What was it, 2-0?
3-1, wasn't it? No, 3-0.
3-0. Yes, sorry, 3-0. And we had our goals were scored by Nainggolan, Kandreva, and Perisic. Right?
Yeah.
Just let that sink in. Nainggolan, Kandreva, and Perisic. Where are those players going to be in this match?
Yeah.
Okay.
At home.
I feel Inter will have a new gear. There are rumours, and I say rumours because I don't believe them, but Keita Balde might be making a return. And fingers crossed that is the possibility, but I can't see it happening. But I'm scared. But in saying that, I'm quietly confident that this win will get Inter up and running. Because then we face, is it Parma?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we turn around and we face Parma. Now, they came away with 3 points against us last time, and we came into that match with a win. Imagine going into that match with a loss.
Yeah.
I just feel this match is critical to more than what the eye can see. And ultimately, I can see Inter coming away with a 2-0, 2-1 win, with Bologna scoring a late goal and scaring the shit out of us for the rest of the last 5-6 minutes.
Yeah, fair enough, man. To be honest, I can just see Rodrigo Palacio netting again and him just doing the gentleman thing by holding his hand up because he is a true gentleman and I miss him. I liked him a lot, Palacio. So we'll see what happens. My prediction is 1-1. I'm not going to expect anything more than that. I truly hope I'm wrong and I'm proven wrong. And the ragazzi get there and they fight tooth and nail and they're up 2-0 at halftime and we win the match 4-0. It'd be great, but it just seems a little unrealistic at this point. Ragazzi, that's where we're going to wrap up this edition of the Inter Worldwide podcast. We really, really enjoyed bringing it to you. And I'm just going to say a nice thank you to all my guests. Bruno, thanks for coming on, mate.
Ciao.
Awesome. Mario, thank you. Glad to have you. We'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Anytime, mate. And Alessandro, always a pleasure, mate. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
No worries. And that's all for me, guys. Forza Inter. Ciao.